In the village of Umuago, nestled between rolling hills and echoing forests, where paved roads run alongside sacred footpaths, a story unfolded that still haunts the whispers of the wind. Umuago was no ordinary village. It had fiber optic cables and free Wi-Fi in the town square. Solar panels lined the rooftops. Teenagers walked around with iPhones, and elders held village meetings on Zoom. But underneath all that progress, the land still pulsed with something ancient, something that technology could not overwrite. That was why, when Daimeji died, the village fell into an eerie kind of silence. Daimeji was not a man you could easily describe. To some, he was a generous chief-in-waiting, a philanthropist who donated computers to the school and built boreholes in dry seasons. To others, he was a greedy manipulator, the kind of man who smiled at your front gate while negotiating to buy your land behind your back. He had power, real power. Not just the kind in politics, but the quiet, heavy kind that made people avoid eye contact when he walked by. He wore imported suits and traditional beads. He kept a Bible on his desk and a charm under his bed. He was both modern and mysterious, trusted and feared. So, when the news broke that Daimeji had collapsed in his home, just like that, no sickness, no warning, it felt like the air in Umuago had changed. The village prepared for his burial with unmatched precision. His family imported a custom casket from Italy, with velvet lining and silver handles. The wake lasted 3 days. There were choirs, dancers, professional mourners, even a drone flying overhead, recording everything. His obituary ran in national newspapers, describing him as the Titan among men. They buried him just before sunset, beside the new cathedral he helped build, not far from the mango tree where children still played after school. The grave was deep. The cement was thick. The prayers were long. Nothing was left to chance. But the next morning, the coffin was back. It sat neatly on the grass above the grave, clean, untouched, as if someone had gently lifted it from the earth and laid it there with care. There were no signs of digging. No disturbed soil. No footprints. Panic swept through the village. People gathered around the cemetery, whispering in frightened tones. Some thought it was thieves. Others blamed jealous rivals or political enemies. A few simply said, "It's witchcraft," and refused to say another word. The elders called for a second burial. This time, they poured concrete over the coffin. They recited verses from the Bible, chanted traditional blessings, and circled the grave 7 times. By nightfall, the grave was sealed like a tomb. Yet again, at dawn, the coffin returned. This time, it was wet, as if the earth had spat it out. The concrete lay in chunks around the grave. Still, there were no signs of human interference. The soil was undisturbed. No animals, no shovels, no tracks. Just silence, and the heavy feeling that something was watching. Fear turned into dread. Children refused to walk past the cemetery. The church cancelled all evening services. Birds stopped landing on the cathedral roof. The village, once lively, became a ghost of itself. Desperate, the family invited prophets, pastors, even a controversial evangelist known for casting out stubborn demons. He waved the staff, screamed in tongues, and sprayed the grave with holy oil until he collapsed from exhaustion. The coffin still came back. Then came the traditionalist. A priest from the hills performed rituals under the moonlight. A seer from another town read the bones and said, "He is not dead. His spirit is still wandering." A masked diviner claimed Daimeji's soul had been claimed by the land itself. Still, the coffin would not stay buried. That was when they turned to Mama Obi. No one knew how old she really was. Some said she had been alive when the Iroko tree still sang. She had seen kings rise and fall, and she never spoke unless the wind whispered first. Her hut sat at the edge of the forest, surrounded by silence. She came to the grave barefoot, carrying only a calabash and a white cloth. She circled the grave once, knelt, placed her hand on the soil, and closed her eyes. Everyone stood still. The birds stopped chirping. Even the wind waited. After a long pause, Mama Obi rose and said only one thing. This is not the land where he is meant to rest. Confused, the villagers asked why. She shook her head slowly. He broke a covenant. Years ago. This land does not belong to him. He stole it, from the ancestors. Gasps swept through the crowd. She pointed to a place no one dared to go, the old forest. Long ago, it had been sacred ground. Untouched. Untamed. It was where oaths were taken and blood was spilled in silence. Dameji had once bought part of that forest from a desperate widow, bulldozed the land, and built luxury apartments on it. Everyone knew it. Everyone had stayed silent. Now, the land was answering. The elders argued. His family screamed. But Mama Obi's voice cut through all of it. If you bury him anywhere else, he will keep coming back. Even the grave will refuse him. So under the cover of night, without ceremony, 4 brave men carried the coffin into the old forest. No prayers. No marble. No gold-trimmed speeches. Only shadows, silence, and the memory of a broken oath. They found a spot beneath an ancient tree, roots curled like snakes, leaves thick like secrets. They dug a grave deep enough to bury a story, and there, they laid him down. No cement. No chants. Just soil and silence. When they finished, the wind rose. Not harsh. Not cold. Just still. Like something had finally settled. And since that night, the coffin has never returned. But the village has not forgotten. They built no monument. They do not speak his name in the market. Children are warned not to stray near the old forest. And if you ever find yourself in Umuago, walking at night, and you hear footsteps behind you, slow, steady, like someone walking just behind your shadow, do not turn around. Because in Umuago, everyone knows. Some corpses do not rest. Some graves do not close. And some secrets refuse to stay buried.